San Jose, California. The Civic Auditorium is packed to capacity, over 3,000 people crammed into seats, aisles, and along the walls. The atmosphere is electric, the air thick with expectation. This is not a sleepy policy panel. This is prime time live. And the marquee names are the 44th and the 45th Presidents of the United States, Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Two podiums stand center stage, angled just enough toward each other to suggest confrontation. The lighting is bright and clinical, leaving no shadows to hide a smirk, a frown, or a tightening jaw. The official billing is a bipartisan town hall on economic recovery in a post-pandemic America. Everyone in the room knows what that really means: a fight in suits. Backstage, Donald Trump is pacing, a stack of note cards spread across his podium, an uncapped Sharpie rolling along the edge. His advisors whisper stats, unemployment rates, job creation numbers, in quick bursts. It looks less like methodical prep and more like last-minute scrambling. Across the hall, Barack Obama stands still, a few neatly stapled pages before him, a pen, and a glass of water. No clutter, no props, just the quiet posture of someone who knows exactly what he wants to say. He listens to a producer's countdown in his earpiece and nods once. The moderator's voice cuts through the building murmur. "Good evening, America. Tonight we bring you a conversation between the 44th and current 45th Presidents of the United States. Our focus, economic recovery and bipartisan cooperation." The applause is polite. At first, Trump steps forward from stage right, waving, his energy high. Cheers rise from one side of the hall, but the other half is more reserved, some crossing arms, some leaning forward, sizing him up. From the opposite side, Obama walks in. His pace is unhurried, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. The applause he receives is steady and rhythmic, not louder than Trump's, but different. Less of a spike, more of a sustained note. They meet in the middle for a brief, stiff handshake. Both look directly at each other, but neither reveals much. The moderators explain the format. 2 minutes each for opening remarks, then questions from the audience. Trump goes first. He thanks the crowd, thanks the moderators, then pivots into a rapid-fire list of accomplishments from his administration. Record job numbers, booming stock markets, unmatched pandemic relief. His delivery is forceful, his tone designed to project dominance. His supporters cheer loudly. Cameras pan to a few skeptical faces in the other half of the hall. Then it's Obama's turn. He thanks everyone, including Trump, for sharing the stage in a spirit of open conversation. His voice is calm, warm, but deliberate. He acknowledges areas of progress, but insists that recovery statistics have to match reality in people's homes and paychecks, not just look good on paper. The first questions are polite enough: small business aid, inflation. But the tension is already building. Every answer nudges them closer to collision. Then it happens. A woman from Reno, Nevada, a small restaurant owner, stands to speak. Her voice is steady but tight. She tells them she applied twice for pandemic relief funds, but never saw a dime. She looks at Trump first. Trump leans into his mic, says her case is an unfortunate exception, and that the vast majority got the help they needed. He cites White House-approved reports, but doesn't elaborate. Obama waits. He doesn't move until Trump has finished. Then he says, without raising his voice, "Actually, I've seen the numbers on this. Across Nevada, nearly 18% of small businesses that applied for relief never received it. That's not an exception. That's nearly 1 in 5. He doesn't look at Trump. He looks at her. It's a simple line, but the air shifts instantly. The audience reacts with murmurs. Viewers at home can feel the weight through the camera. This is no longer about pleasantries. This is the first cut, clean, surgical, and backed by data. The moderators thank her for the question and move on, but the energy in the hall is no longer polite. Both men know the gloves are off. The first blow has landed. The applause from the first exchange hasn't died down before the next questioner is on their feet. This time, it's a middle-aged high school teacher from Fresno, California. Her posture is firm, and she wastes no time on greetings. How can the public know what's real when politicians spin numbers to make themselves look good? It's a question aimed at both podiums, broad enough to give them room, sharp enough to demand substance. Trump jumps in first. He talks about fake news twisting successes, about critics cherry-picking bad weeks while ignoring the bigger picture. His voice rises, almost as if he's scolding the question itself. He rattles off employment numbers, stock market highs, GDP growth. It's a familiar cadence, overwhelm with quantity, then pivot to patriotism. The teacher nods politely, but the room senses she's not convinced. Then Obama steps up to his microphone. His tone is measured, but his words are razor-edged. I believe numbers should reflect people's lives, not replace them. And if those numbers come from your own administration's agencies, they need to tell the whole truth. He produces a printed page from the Congressional Budget Office, not flashy, just black and white text, and reads, "In the last quarter, over 40% of newly reported jobs were part-time or temporary positions without benefits. That matters because stability isn't just about having a job, it's about having a livelihood. No theatrics, no raised voice, just data, sourced from inside the very system Trump had praised seconds earlier." The audience shifts. Some lean forward, some exchange glances. The dynamic is changing. Trump tries to reclaim the stage, leaning toward Obama. "Barack, you're twisting it. That's not the whole report." But Obama doesn't look at him. He keeps his eyes on the teacher. "Ma'am, if you have a classroom of 30 students and 12 of them don't have the materials they need, you don't tell the parents, 'Everything's fine.' You address it." It's a simple analogy, but it lands like a hammer. The teacher's face softens, nodding once in agreement. The moderators thank her for the question and invite the next participant. But in the invisible scoreboard of live debate, something has shifted. Trump's approach, rapid-fire numbers and broad claims, feels suddenly less secure. Obama's style, quiet precision, targeted facts, begins to dominate the tempo. A young man in the fourth row tweets, "Obama just fact-checked Trump with Trump's own data." Within minutes, the phrase trends. Hashtags start forming. 1 in 5 from the small business moment earlier, and now Yasashing your own report. On stage, the change is subtle but undeniable. Trump's jaw tightens between questions. Obama's shoulders stay relaxed. The flow of the conversation, the invisible current that decides who is reacting and who is leading, is moving toward Obama. The moderators notice. They start calling on questioners whose topics have more complexity, more potential for fact-driven answers. It's not favoritism. It's the natural drift of live programming toward where the energy is. And in this moment, the energy is with the man who doesn't need to raise his voice to draw blood. The next questioner is a small business owner from Phoenix, Arizona. She steps to the microphone, clutching a folded letter in one hand. Her voice trembles slightly, but it's not nerves. It's restrained frustration. I was approved for federal relief funds twice. Both times the money never came. I had to let go of 3 employees because I couldn't cover payroll. Why did this happen? There's no political framing, no abstract policy debate. This is personal, immediate, and costly. Trump leans forward with a sympathetic expression. That's terrible. Nobody should go through that. But the truth is, those delays are the fault of state level mismanagement. We sent the funds out. Some states just didn't deliver them on time. It's a clean deflection, one he's used before. Shift the blame downward, away from the federal level. He talks about bureaucratic inefficiencies and how some governors aren't exactly friends of this administration. His tone is half outrage, half self defense. The woman listens, but her grip on the letter doesn't loosen. Obama steps in. His voice is even, but there's steel in the choice of his words. I've read the Treasury audit from last quarter. Nationwide, over 120,000 approved relief applications were never funded. That's not a state problem. That's federal money, approved and stuck in the pipeline. He doesn't look at Trump. He looks directly at her, then at the crowd. When people are drowning, you don't debate who owns the lifeboat. You send it. The room reacts immediately. A low rumble of approval, a few scattered claps that quickly spread. Trump shifts his weight, gripping his note cards tighter. We moved more relief faster than any administration in history. Obama interrupts, still calm, but now more pointed. And yet, she's here tonight telling us she had to fire people because that relief never reached her. You can quote all the records you want, but records don't keep the lights on. The audience is with him. The sound in the hall swells. Cameras catch Trump's jaw clenching, his lips pressed into a tight line. Somewhere in the back, a voice shouts, "Your report, not mine." The phrase catches on, bouncing from row to row, a spontaneous echo of the earlier moment when Obama used Trump's own data against him. On social media, the scene is already viral. Clips are cut, subtitled, and shared before the questioner even sits down. The captions are ruthless. Federal data versus federal denial, and not an exception, a pattern. The moderators try to bring the room back to order, but the energy is running high. The shift in momentum from earlier is no longer subtle. Obama isn't just responding, he's landing strikes on structural weaknesses in Trump's defense. This isn't a volley of equal hits anymore. It's a slow dismantling, and the audience can feel it. The moderator adjusts his glasses and glances at the next card. Our next question comes from Mr. Daniel Ruiz, a veteran from El Paso, Texas. The man stands slowly. He's in his late 40s, wearing a neatly pressed navy suit with a small American flag pin. His voice is steady, but there's a hard edge beneath it. During the pandemic, my veteran-owned construction business applied for a federal infrastructure contract. We met every requirement, scored high in the bidding process, but the contract was awarded to a company with no prior federal work and strong political ties. Can either of you explain how that helps recovery? The crowd murmurs. It's the kind of question that demands more than platitudes. Trump reacts first. We wanted the fastest results. Sometimes that means picking companies that can mobilize immediately. Politics had nothing to do with it. I respect veterans more than anyone, but we can't slow things down for red tape. It's a calculated move. Appeal to urgency, brush past the implication of favoritism. But Ruiz doesn't sit down. With respect, sir, my company was ready to break ground within 3 weeks. We lost to a firm with no equipment and no staff in the region. The tension spikes. Trump starts to respond, but Obama leans forward slightly, signaling to the moderator. I'd like to address that. His voice is quiet, but carries across the hall. I've seen the procurement report for that project. The selection process was adjusted mid-review, after bids were submitted. That's not urgency. That's moving the finish line while the race is on. The crowd reacts with a sharp collective inhale. It's not an accusation, it's a documented fact, stated as plainly as reading the weather. Trump shakes his head. That's your interpretation, Obama cuts in smoothly. It's the Government Accountability Office's interpretation, page 12, paragraph 4. Anyone can look it up. That line hits like a gavel strike. Ruiz sits, nodding once in acknowledgement. The audience breaks into applause. Not polite, sustained applause, but the kind that feels like a decision being made in real time. On social media, the moment explodes. The clip of Obama's "moving the finish line" remark spreads within minutes. Memes appear. An actual finish line being dragged forward, captions reading, page 12, and GAO knows. The moderator tries to pivot, but the tone of the evening has shifted into something irreversible. Trump's earlier control of the stage has eroded. Each attempt at redirecting the conversation now feels like recovery, not leadership. Obama, meanwhile, isn't overplaying the moment. He returns to his calm, measured pace, letting the impact settle without chasing it. The visual is unmistakable, one man holding a stack of talking points, the other holding a single page of an official report, and winning the exchange. By now, the audience isn't just watching a debate. They're witnessing a slow transfer of credibility in real time. The moderators glance at the clock. Time for one last audience question. A young woman steps forward, holding a notebook. Her voice is calm but precise, like she's practiced it. Both of you have talked about leadership, but leadership is also about accountability. Name one decision from your time in office you would change, and why. It's a curveball, the kind of question that can't be dodged without looking evasive. Trump goes first. I've always believed in making strong, decisive moves. Sometimes, sure, the media didn't like them, but they were the right calls. I wouldn't change the big ones. They all worked out. He smiles briefly, like the matter is settled, but it's not really an answer. It's a refusal to admit fault. Obama takes the microphone. He doesn't rush. In my first year during the auto industry bailout, I didn't push hard enough for conditions that protected smaller suppliers. I should have. Some of those businesses didn't survive, and that's on me. He pauses, letting the admission hang in the air. Leadership isn't pretending you were perfect. It's learning from when you weren't. The room falls into a rare silence. Not awkward, but focused. Even the moderators hold still, sensing the weight of the moment. Trump leans forward, seizing an opening. That's the problem. Admitting mistakes shows weakness. Our enemies see that. Obama doesn't look at him. His eyes remain on the audience. No. Admitting mistakes shows you're not afraid of the truth. And if you're afraid of the truth, you're not leading. You're managing a story. That line lands like a final chord in a symphony. Not loud, but resonant. It doesn't need follow-up. The moderators thank both candidates. The applause begins slowly, then grows. Cameras pan across the crowd. Some smiling, some deep in thought, others already pulling out their phones to capture the moment. Within minutes, the internet seizes on the closer. Hashtags explode. Not afraid of truth. Own your mistakes. page 12. Clips of the final exchange rack up views faster than any other moment of the night. Political analysts on late-night panels will call it the pivot point, the moment one candidate stopped playing defense and started defining the terms of the conversation. Backstage, the two men shake hands for the cameras. But in the eyes of the public, and in the replay that will loop for the next 48 hours, the handshake is just a formality. The real contest ended when one man admitted a flaw and turned it into proof of strength. And in debates, as in history, perception often becomes reality.